I just want to tell you a little bit about some of the products that we now manufacture and supply. So Epigenetics now offers a comprehensive range of food supplements and herbal spice tinctures, and we do them both in a capsule and a liquid form. Epigenetics Limited all manufactures in our state-of-the-art clean rooms in our Pusey premises, which are up to good manufacturing practice standard. We do both liquids and capsules, and liquids are preferable in some people's cases for a number of reasons. They allow for accurate dosing, so we can measure by drop or squirt by squirt. Probably if a substance is 100% ionized or soluble within the medium, you get better absorption. So for minerals and water-soluble vitamins, you get better absorption from liquids. And also the advantage is that people who have difficulty swallowing capsules, a lot of children can't swallow capsules, and a lot of adults can't swallow capsules as well, which is an amazing thing, but even grown-up big men sometimes are unable to swallow a capsule, they gag. All our liquids are bottled in the beautiful Miron glass, which enhances the energy and increases the shelf life. What we found in the earlier days is when we used to put the ionic minerals and the tinctures of the herbs and the spices in these, and we would expose them to 15 minutes or so of sunshine outside. We then found the dose that people required decreased quite considerably because the sun put the energies through the Miron glass with its particular property of allowing the near infrared and ultraviolet light only to go through. The darkness of the glass prevents most of the spectrum of the light going through, which tends to oxidize and ages the product inside. If you keep the top on, you keep then the air out, more or less, because oxygen tends to again oxidize and deteriorate the products. And as long as you keep the products in the fridge or away from the heater, away from the cooker, you then reduce the heat. So heat, light, and oxygen are the main reasons why food compounds and products deteriorate. So Miron is an ideal way of preserving our products. And this way, with our toiletries, we don't have to put so much of a natural preserver in, because the bottle itself does the preserving. We do a very comprehensive range now of capsules, and the advantage of capsules is it allows for larger doses to be administered. So you may need sort of 10 or more squirts of a liquid to get the same amount as the effective dose as one capsule. So capsules allow for large amounts. They negate any strong tastes because some nutrients, particularly zinc and certain vitamins, have distinct tastes which may make the person again gag on swallowing that taste. And they're more convenient for travel. So for travel purposes, people don't mind putting a flat pack of capsules into their bags than bottles. And also bottles have a habit, if they've already been opened, of unscrewing in the air flight because of the change of the pressure. Okay? And this applies particularly with oils. So remember, if you're going to take an oil away with you on holiday, make sure you take a full bottle which has got the top sealed down, and because otherwise, if it's open, you get a little bit of oil on the thread, and with the change of the pressure it unscrews, and it can make quite a mess in a suitcase. All the capsules are made with vegetarian hydroxypropyl methylcellulose, which is otherwise known as wood cellulose. And we do 4 sizes. We do the standard 500 milligram fill of a 0, a half fill, which is about 200 or so milligrams, which is called a size 2, a size 4, which is half that again, which is a 100 milligram fill, and we do a double 0, which takes twice the 0, which takes up to 1,000 milligrams. For things like vitamin C and certain multiples can be put into the larger capsules. When the compound which goes in the capsule is water soluble, the capsule contents can be emptied out and dissolved in water before ingesting. Now again, you may get better digestion, better absorption this way, but the critical thing here is when it's water soluble. So don't expect something which is not water soluble to dissolve when you put it into a glass. But if it is water soluble, then it will become dissolved and may be quite pleasant to drink, like vitamin C. On the other hand, empty capsules of zinc may be quite pungent. All our capsule products are full fills. That means we fill the capsule up with the active ingredient where we can. So if there's a situation where you've got an active ingredient which is only 1 milligram, and the smallest capsule is 100 milligrams, you've got to have a filler, it's called, to fill the rest of the capsule up. And there we use inert wood cellulose again, which has the advantage that it's inert. We've never found anybody sensitive or intolerant to wood cellulose, and it's 100% soluble, so it disappears straight away into the water. We do not put additives apart from the filler where necessary, so we don't put stearates, which inhibit the absorption of the active ingredient, because stearic acid is a carbon 18 saturated fatty acid, and this gets absorbed further down the intestine than where vitamins and minerals are absorbed. So anything that contains stearates tends to inhibit the absorption of the active ingredient. We don't put any excipients, which are talcum powder-like substances which increase the flow of the compound. We don't put any binders because these are capsules, so we don't need to bind the compound together like in tablets. We don't put any colorings, so most of our capsules appear to be white, if white is the color of the raw material, and they don't contain any lactose. So all our capsule and herbal spice products are sourced from organic raw materials, and this is very important because we pride ourselves that our spices and our herbs are organic, both in tincture and in capsules, which is rare for a nutrition company to actually do this. We now offer a full range of amino acids, minerals, vitamins, coenzymes, fatty acids, multiple vitamin minerals, culinary herbs and spices, and probiotics and some digestive aids. So amino acids, basically there's 21 amino acids. 9 of these are essential and 11 of them are non-essential, which we can make from the essential ones, providing we have the enzymes to do this. Some amino acids, you'll see are positively charged and some are negatively charged. Some are water-loving, some are water-hating. Some are acidic and some are basic. So in addition to the 20 amino acids, we also do some of their derivatives, their active components. Acetyl-carnitine, this is one of the substances that burns fat across the mitochondrial membranes and is an acetyl donor. We do acetylcysteine, which is one of the best detoxifiers of chemicals in the body. We do carnitine on its own. Some people prefer carnitine to acetyl-carnitine. It's all a matter of muscle testing, which is the more efficient for the patient. We do reduced glutathione, which is that tripeptide, which again is one of the major detoxifiers of intracellular toxins. And we do smart 5-HTP, which is the derivative of serotonin, as derivative of tryptophan en route to making serotonin. And 5-HTP has been shown to be able to cross the blood-brain barrier very effectively, whereas serotonin taken orally doesn't. So sometimes if there's a problem of activating tryptophan into 5-HTP and then onto serotonin, taking the 5-HTP is a good way of building up serotonin in the brain. We do a range of all the minerals that the body uses. We've recently gone over to sodium borate as a source of boron, which is much more effective, we found, than boric acid, particularly in activating vitamin D in postmenopausal and in osteoporotic conditions. Calcium, chromium, copper, iodine, different types of iodine. We do magnesium, potassium iodide, as well as kelp. Iron, magnesium, manganese, potassium, selenium, we now do in 3 different forms. This sodium selenate is our ionic or liquid form. We do our selenium methionine, and now our new one, our selenium phosphate. Silica we've introduced as opposed to silica dioxide as oat straw and horsetail. This combination is a very good natural sources, both plants very, very rich in liquid silica, soluble silica. Silver, of course, for fighting infections. Sodium in the way of sodium phosphates and sodium sulfates, the tissue salts there. Sulfur, and we do 4 or 5 different types of zinc. Water-soluble vitamins are mainly the vitamin Bs and vitamin C. So on the water-soluble Bs, we got thiamine, riboflavin, niacinamide, pantothenic acid, B5, pyridoxine, B6, folic acid, hydroxycobalamin, B12, and then choline, inositol, biotin, dimethylglycine, and vitamin C. These are all water-soluble vitamins, so they can be emptied out into water or administered as fluid extracts. And then as the vitamin Bs become activated into their active coenzyme forms, we do this in people who have these polymorphisms, who are unable to convert the raw vitamin into the active coenzymes. So we do thiamine pyrophosphate, riboflavin pyrophosphate, FAD, FADH2, NAD, NADH, and NADP and NADPH, which are the active coenzymes of B3. Pyridoxal 5-phosphate, active form of B6. Folinic acid, methylene tetrahydrofolate, 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate, and H4-biopterin, all of which are active coenzymes of folic acid. Adenosyl and methylcobalamin, the active forms of vitamin B12. Biotin, which is the active form of biotin, which helps us to eliminate ammonia in the urea cycle. Vitamin C is a coenzyme because it becomes oxidized and reduced and recycles. And to recycle it, it needs alpha-lipoic acid, which is also a powerful antioxidant and coenzyme. We need CoQ10. CoQ10 we do as both an oil-based substance and as a capsule. And SAM, S-adenosylmethionine factors there. Fat-soluble vitamins, very interesting because we do vitamin A, which is retinol palmitate, and we put it into a base of black cumin seed, which enables it to be activated into the retinoic acid and retinol forms. We do a lutein zeaxanthin mix, which are the carotenoids in the orange and the yellow zones. We do vitamin D. Again, vitamin D is cholecalciferol, but we activate it with the black cumin seed, so this enables the body to stimulate the production of the 25-hydroxy cholecalciferol, the 125 and the 24-25, which are the active forms of vitamin D. And we do a vitamin D with the X factor or activator X, which was what Weston Price suggested was one of the protectors of putting calcium back into the bones and the teeth. This was thought for a while to be vitamin K2, but we now know that it's actually another form of vitamin D, which is called the vitamin D 124-25, and this is the one which is the hormone modulator in the body and responsible for putting calcium back into the tissue. This is what is present mainly or predominantly in unpasteurized butter. Obviously unpasteurized milk to some extent, but because milk is 97% water, the butter is the active ingredient because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. And of course, the vitamin K, which is what they thought it was, which has also been more recently been shown to drive calcium back into the bone in osteoporotic cases, is also the richest source of that, again, is butter, but it has to be the unpasteurized butter because the pasteurizing or the heating process destroys the enzymes which enable this to be activated. The other source of K, or K2, is Edam cheese and Gouda cheese and brie. Okay? 1 ounce of those will give you the same as a capsule of 75 micrograms of vitamin K, which is what's recommended to try and drive calcium back into the bones. So 1 ounce of cheese. The richest source is Gouda, followed by Edam, followed by brie. Vitamin E we do in several forms. We do it as a capsule of alpha-tocopherol, but we also do our Smart E, which basically is the natural oils, the extracts of vitamin E, which are concentrated in wheat germ oil, in pistachio nut oil, and in sesame seed oil. So talking about oils, we do a full range of culinary oils, probably better than most health food stores or good supermarkets. We do 12 cold-pressed organic culinary oils: black cumin seed, flax, grapeseed, hazelnut, hemp seed, macadamia nut, olive, peanut, pumpkin seed, sesame seed, walnut, and wheat germ. And then we do some specialized oils for more medicinal purposes, like the evening primrose oil, again organic, black currant, borage, coconut oil, smart oil, which is a combination of a number of these culinary oils, smart thinking oil, which is our own way of aiding the body to make DHA, omega-3 oil from fish oil itself, and wonder oil, which was one of our first blends of sesame and peanut oil. We also do oils designer-made for the body type, so we do a red oil, a green oil, and a blue oil, specifically for the different constitutional body types. And lastly, we do a phospholipid mix, which is phosphatidylcholine, which has a little bit in there of phosphatidylinoxetal and phosphatidylserine in it. More recently, we've developed, manufactured a range of vitamin mineral multiples. So we do a multiple vitamin mineral for adults, and then we do a multiple vitamin mineral without copper and iron, because there's that danger if a person is older and perhaps hemorrhages with a cerebral vascular accident, they may release copper and iron from the blood, from the hemoglobin, particularly the heme, and this will drive the conversion of peroxides into hydroxyl radical. So it may increase the amount of free radical damage a person occurs after they've had a stroke. So as we get a bit older, it might be wiser to take a multiple which doesn't have extra copper and iron in it. We do a small version of the adult one, a child's multiple vitamin, which is ideal because it's in the size 4 capsule for children. And then we do our red, green and blue vitamins, minerals. The red one is really based on homocysteine. What we found in phonocardiography lectures and studies is that red people are much more prone to having high levels of homocysteine. And so this has the homocysteine vitamin Bs, like pyridoxal 5-phosphate, methylcobalamin, 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate, etc. The green is more for the vasodilation. This is more the old vitamin G factors. So this would have more of the vitamin B2 and B3 complexes in it. And the blue is more for the regulating cardiac rhythms, which would be the vitamin B1 and the vitamin B4 in it to steady the heart. So for people specifically who have high homocysteine, which generally tends to be the red, but we do a homocysteine formula, which is your B6, your folic acid and your methylcobalamin. In addition, we put choline in there and beetroot extract, which is a rich source of serine. And we do our old favorite nutrient phase 1 and 2, which is for detoxifying those fat-soluble toxins. Culinary herbs, we still do a full range or a good range of culinary herbs, or herbs which can be classified according to the EU as culinary herbs in both capsules and tinctures. Use tinctures always with herbal remedies and spices when you want the substance, active ingredients, to get systemic or get inside the body. Use capsules when you want it to get inside the intestine and stay there. So for instance, if we want to get rid of parasites, we want wormwood here, Artemisia absinthe, we want it as a capsule. We don't want it absorbed in the self. But if we want to get an anti-parasitic absorb like black walnut, we want it as a tincture. So black walnut tincture would be for internal parasites, in other words, protozoa, etc. But for the more nematodes, etc., in the intestine, then we would use capsules. So here's our pretty good full range of culinary herbs and spices. Now, as all these can be used culinary-wise, they're accepted that they're used for, not so much for therapeutic, although we use them for therapeutic, but they can be used as flavorings for food. Culinary spices, very similar. We do allspice, black cumin, cayenne, chili, cinnamon, clove, coriander, cumin, not to be confused with black cumin or nigella, fenugreek, garlic, ginger, our own GOG mix, which is garlic, onion, and ginger mix for helping particularly with vasodilation, with cardiovascular problems, stops the blood from thickening up. Horseradish, mace, nutmeg, paprika, star anise, and turmeric. So these are all available as capsules and as tinctures. We do a good range of probiotics to improve the gut flora. The Lactobacillus acidophilus, Bulgaricus, Casei plantarum, and Rhamnosus. All lactobacillus, these are dairy-free. These live in the small intestine and are basically aerobes. The bifidobacteria lives more in the colon and is an anaerobe. And then in addition to this, we do Streptococcus thermophilus. And when we put all these probiotics together, we call it a smart probiotic. So somebody who's had antibiotic therapy, too many food preservers, too much chlorinated water, may have destroyed a number of the good bacteria. So the multiple composite one here, the smart probiotic, may be more applicable. Personally, I test these individually, because if a person only shows to one type, then we administer that because they all work as a family. And if you give it the whole lot as a family, you may end up with the same imbalance if they got specific deficiency of one type. And then the last form of product we do, we call smart products. And because these contain a small amount of the organic food that naturally contains the active compound and the enzymes to enhance its activity. So one of the first ones we found that we did this was lutein, which is very good for the eyes, particularly with macular degeneration. And the richest source of lutein is kale. So by getting a organic, dried, ground up kale, we found it actually works 50% to the lutein, which is extracted normally from yellow marigolds. So it was equal in its therapeutic value. So by adding the food extract, we found we needed less of the active ingredient, but the food contains the other factors, the enzymes, in order to get the substance to work. The second one we did this was pyridoxal 5-phosphate, when we added rice to this, rice bran, which is a rich source of stimulating the body to use P5P or vitamin B6. So we then extended this out to magnesium and to zinc and calcium and looked at certain foods which were rich sources of this. The downside of this, and it's only very occasionally, is that people may be slightly allergic to one of the food compounds which we put in. Very unusual. Very rarely do you find people who are allergic to rice bran or to other compounds, but occasionally we put celery, which is celery seed is a very, very rich source naturally of zinc. So we put a little bit of celery seed into our smart zinc. But occasionally you find somebody may be allergic to allergic to celery seed. So this is the list at the moment of the products we do. Smart adrenals, which is adrenal tissue extract. Antihistamine formula we do, which is particularly popular at this time of the year, of course. Smart eyes, which is mainly lutein, zeaxanthin, and bilberry. Smart heart, which is heart tissue, they're a rich source of cardiolipin. Smart 5-hydroxytryptophan, 5-HT to build up our serotonin levels. And smart lutein, which is again on its own specifically for the rods of the eye, particularly peripheral vision. And those people who are sensitive, who are porphyrin, high porphyrin level, and are sensitive to 400 nanometer light. Then we've got smart calcium, which contains arrowroot as a source of calcium, magnesium, zinc, smart pyridoxal 5-phosphate. Then the smart vitamin A, which contains the black cumin seed, smart folic acid, vitamin C, vitamin D, and vitamin E.